If energy creates matter, we should be focused more on the energy aspect to shift than the matter. Organs are not there to digest food. These organs are there to digest emotion. If everything is energy, we don't need to change our belief system. We need to illuminate the energy, and the belief system will naturally change. Like it or not, we're becoming aware, we're becoming conscious. And the more conscious we become, there's so much to explore because now we're becoming not only just conscious, but now we're becoming multidimensional.
Guy here. Welcome to my Let It In podcast. Thank you for joining me today. My epic guest is Igor Galibov. And what I loved about this podcast, look, I mean, I'm coming up to nearly 400 episodes now, right? And I've covered a lot of conversations, but I love being surprised. And I definitely got that from Igor today. You know, his journey, his story. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And that's what, for me, podcasting is all about, and exploring the depths of one's own experience and how we can then take other people's experiences and formulate our own opinions and make sure we then begin to apply it in our life. Look, he's an energy healer. He's a mystic. What can I say? There's many ways you could frame it, really, but you'll get to know Igor through the podcast today. But we get into the discussions around the light body, the multidimensional body, his own journeys of awakening, astral projection as well, and also, you know, the energetic upgrades that are happening on the planet. Or, I mean, it's a hot topic on YouTube, right? There's a lot of conversations, a lot of different perspectives around this. But look, from someone who's, as we would say in Wales, who's at the coalface of it all, I'm in front of 200, 300, 400 people within 4 to 6 weeks in person as we're holding space for these retreats and one-day events. And there's something going on. There is a shift in consciousness that is happening. That is my belief. And the more we get out of our heads, get into our hearts, get into the present moment, and start to explore the depths of our own inner wisdom and what wants to come forward, we can take our sovereign beingness, if you like, back. Like, it's up to us. We are our own gurus. And there are multiple ways that we can explore this if we do that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm about to get on an airplane to Croatia next in a few days when this goes live for our retreat, which is extremely exciting. So, hey, if you're going to be at our retreat, look forward to meeting you. But look, anyway, there's links below if you want to find out what we're up to next year. Enjoy this podcast with Igor. It's great. It's great. This is what it's all about. And of course, let me know where you are in the world. It's always good to connect. Much love from me, and I will catch you soon. Igor, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you.
Yeah. First question. We'll get the ball rolling. But you're at an intimate dinner party, and you sit next to a stranger, and they ask you what you do for a living. How would you answer that?
Physical reality or spiritual reality? But in a nutshell, I work with people and mostly with energy bodies, getting people into a higher state of consciousness by allowing them to expand their awareness and tap into the light body. Light body has many definitions, but working with the energy bodies, what really defines the human nature. If we are physical beings, so then energy is what creates the physical reality. We work with that state. So I get people into that higher consciousness to understand the dynamic between their physical body and energy bodies, and how to transform and transmute their soul agreements or contracts, you can say, within the energy fields, and how they operate amongst each other in order to simplify everyday reality for everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot there, isn't it? Is that something you find is getting quite accepted these days in conversation? Or do you think people are still like, huh? What are you on about?
Well, everybody already knows what meditation is, which is great, because 20 years ago, when you ask somebody, they ask you, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Meditate." They're like, "Do you have mental issues?"
Mm.
They would approach it this way. Now it's more open. Everybody wants to learn. Everybody wants to expand their consciousness, their awareness. They want to find peace. They want to find connect to different dimensions and different realities. They want to know about their dreams. So it's becoming so big and so vast that I feel like it's even being taught in schools already. There is being utilized in police academies. So it's really powerful where we're going as a collective.
You mentioned the light bodies and energy bodies. How do would you start to define them? Like, especially because we get caught up in our day to day, the busyness of our world, and
Yeah.
the more busy we are and stressed out, or the more in the mind, the more we just kind of burrow into the physical. And then to really stop and pause, it's like, well, I've got this physical body. That's it. You know, how do you expand upon that for people in their understanding?
Well, that's why they're called energy bodies. They're part of our body. They're just energetic. And the thing is that our awareness is so limited. It's only limited to this physical part. And if we really take a look into it, our energy expands 50 feet in each direction. So if it expands 50 feet in each direction, now they can see this based on technology. If it expands 50 feet in each direction, then we're only aware of 10% of ourselves.
Mm.
So if we're only aware of 10%, and then the rest of it, we're completely numb, then we're not full potential of God. We have to be aware of all of our aspects, all of ourselves, because all of that creates one unit, one being that can create and simplify this reality. I mean, the whole purpose of us is not to work 9 to 5 all the time. That is something that created by the society, and it's been only around for the past 150 years, maybe or so. But if we go back naturally, if we don't have to work, we don't have to pay bills, what is a natural state of consciousness going to do? People will naturally start searching towards answers of God, of source, of how, of why am I here? How can I connect with nature? They will feel and see things. Because our mind is so busy, we immerse ourselves in that. But if we bring awareness to these parts and we start to introduce this to our lives, we'll start to become aware of them, and we'll start to tap into things that is really out of this world, but very interesting, very powerful, very exciting, because we want to know more. What was that? What is that dream I had? What is that I'm feeling? Especially these days, people are awakening all over the world. They're feeling, seeing stuff they're not understanding. They see something moving, a being or an entity, and there's no really deep explanation. But you can see that also in schools now is being taught. Kids are being born with these awarenesses. But if we were taught this from childhood, we would be so aware of this information and all this wisdom that is within us, within the cosmos. So our mind is taught to be so logical, but the spiritual reality is illogical. So we have to kind of find the balance between those two.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? Like, because I went through, the first half of my life, looking back, almost, I don't want to say sleepwalking, because there was a part of me that was always being drawn to the exploration of this work. I just didn't know how. But until I started to open up beyond my five senses, and I would have said you were crazy. Like, the things that can start to be experienced and are possible. And yet it feels like so many people are unaware of what is possible, and we continue to be held back by our fears as opposed to exploring our potential. I just find that whole thing fascinating.
It is. There's different forms of awakening, and some people have like a sharp Kundalini awakening. Some people have a gradual transition into things, but yet somehow we're being pulled towards that direction.
Mm.
For me, for instance, I had a very sharp awakening. I was not expecting any of this. It just happened in 2004 on a journey with my mother to see a healer in Brazil. I didn't go for me. I just went to support her. And all of a sudden, I had a sharp awakening and I started to feel and see everything. And I disconnected from physical reality completely, from friends, from family, events, gatherings, going out to clubs or restaurants. I wasn't able to do it.
Wow.
Just like overnight, wasn't able to do it. So I locked myself up in a room for 4 years, not like literally, but isolated myself for 4 years, where I spent most of the time just in meditation and astral traveling to different dimensions and realities because that was interesting to me more than physical reality. I lost all interest in physical reality, but there was no information out there back then.
So
Now we have so much information supporting us and a lot of information out there, but it's not put together in a sequence where we can find a balance. And that is the most important thing I find, that to close the gap between the 3D and the 5D.
I got to ask you, how did that awakening occur? Were you actively worked upon in the healing, or were you just in a presence? What happened?
So, so this healing was very interesting because in 2004, when I arrived to Brazil, I thought I was going to just leave my mother and just go out and enjoy Brazil a little bit. Everybody just coming up to this healer, and I just like felt I need to go see what's going on there. When I come up to him, he's in a complete trance, like his eyes are white. And he looks at you and he says, "Do you want a surgery?" I had no idea what he was referring to. There's two types of surgery he does: visible and invisible. Invisible surgery is where you walk into a room, he says a prayer for 10 minutes or something, and you leave. Visible surgery, he will take a knife or scissors and cut you and like literally remove a tumor. So my turn comes up. This cannot be explained. You have to like really be there. It was like Alice in Wonderland. You had doctors from all over the world visit him back in the day to see what happened, how he does this. You had lawyers come down because it was really something out of this world. He would go in a complete trance. So my turn comes up. He gets up. All of a sudden, he comes up to me, and I'm like, just frozen, like, what's going on? Takes his thumb, puts it inside my mouth. Next thing I know, I'm out of my body, standing behind him, looking at myself. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I'm trying to open my eyes and I can't, but I look to the side and I see his silhouette. And all of a sudden, he grabs the surgical scissors with a round tip, puts it into my nose while I'm watching this, with the bottom of his palm, hits it, and I
No.
can feel it inside of my skull hitting to the top. Twist one way, twist another way, pulls the scissors out, says spit. By the time I finished spitting out of my mouth, whatever it was, I was back in my body.
Oh,
Just a little bit of blood, no pain, no nothing. Out of nowhere, I just get this jolt of energy in my body and I feel like I can move mountains. And after that, they just put you to a room and where you're supposed to relax. So I relaxed for 24 hours. And all of a sudden, I start seeing things, feeling things. I'm not quite understanding what's going on. I'm like, okay, just like must be something really good there going on. So I was like, okay, just ignored it. Uh, the following day, I came out and I started to feel and see things which I did not understand. 2 weeks while I was there, nobody tells you anything. Nobody's explaining much because it's just like, oh, you just had like spiritual surgery. I came home and I was not able to communicate to anyone. I was seeing things, I was feeling things. It was painful, it was uncomfortable. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew if I grab my hands, like I grab an energy off my head and I see something not nice, not pretty, dark, gray, I throw it into the ground. It feels so much better. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
whoa.
I started to clean myself energetically. So anything I thought of, I was able to tap into. So if I watched a movie, I would tap into that dimension. I was like, whoa, this is like painful. I talk to somebody, I start to see what's going on inside their body. I start to feel their pain. I was like, okay, this is not comfortable. I walk away. I don't feel the pain. And then I remembered when I was 16 years old, my father gave me a book. It was Mantak Chia. Multi-Orgasm Man. And when I opened that book, I remember there were chakras there. So back then I was 16, I just threw that book to the side. And I remember there were chakras there. I grabbed that book and I open it and I just see all these chakras and mine all just activated. I was like, wow. Then I got in. The other book was The Keys of Enoch by J.J. HEARTT and Desiree HEARTT. I don't know if you heard of them. That book is, you cannot read it. It's a book of just wisdom, celestial wisdom. That was the other book that I got into my hands, and that was it. And for many years, I just spent time in different dimensions through these books, traveling to different experiences, and that was my life basically.
Holy shit. You know, it's funny when you said that. I remember watching the documentary of, bless you,
Excuse me.
of John of God on Netflix a few years ago. And there are different healers in there, and they were showing the physical surgeries, and you're just like, what? You know, they were using
That's
like a
exactly where I was.
like you know, a hacksaw. Like, how is that even possible? But what did he
Yeah.
remove? What did they remove from your nose at that
So
time? Do
it's
you
not
know?
really a removal;
Is
it's
it?
an activation.
Wow.
Because what he did was he used a knife, let's say, and he would cut you. He would stick his hand out. He's just not even looking at you, like all over the place. Takes a tumor out, throws it, and the tumor would come out. No blood comes out. Stitches you back up, and the following day you have like everything stitched, like it was healed for years. Uh, there were people that came back home when and got X-rays. Inside, they had stitches inside their organs, but there's no cut on the outside. So the doctors would say, "How? What? Where is this coming from?" So they were just tools, basically. The entities would enter him and do all these healings. I mean, I've seen all kinds of stuff there. I've seen kids where there was a little girl that came with us that was blind. She started to see. There was a woman that came on a wheelchair, left without it. Like it was crazy stuff going on there. But you cannot explain it until you actually go.
Yeah.
You have to be there. It's just it's like Alice in Wonderland.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 24.
Wow. That's nuts. And nobody prepared, you weren't prepared for it. You, no idea. And then it's just like
No,
boom to boom.
none. I worked in finance. That was my reality. September 11th happened. 2002, I stopped working. 2003, I was depressed. In 2004, I had this huge just shift. No idea anything about angels or this or that. There was nothing on the internet back then. Google was just coming around. YouTube was just forming. There was MSN Messenger, so we had flip phones.
Wow. Because when we spoke off air, when my Kundalini arose, my awakening, it was like a gradual thing, and then all this energy, and that happened in 2015 when it really started to open. But at least I had
Yeah,
resources, I had access to the internet, and there were people around me that I could lean into that understood what was going on. You know, where it
yeah,
feels like you had none of that. You're just isolating yourself in a room and trying to figure it out.
completely. It was just trial and error the whole time. I would go out, think I can drink like everybody else. Nobody said it was bad. I drink and I was like, oh my God, I feel bad. What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
I had to clear myself out, clear my system out, take a bit again, 2, 3 days. Again, I would go out. Again, I would get in pain. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm allowed to do this. I cannot lie. I cannot cheat. I cannot think this way. I have to change the way I'm thinking. I have to change the way I perceive reality. Because I was sensitive to energy, it was a blessing, but it was painful, but it was a blessing that guided me through pain. I knew that this was not in alignment. So I started to work with that, utilizing the space of energy. And most of my work was in the astral plane. So I would go into every night in dream state. I started to work with different beings, different entities. They started to teach me and guide me about these chakra systems in the field, not
Huh.
the ones in the seven chakra systems here. That's what something basically that I teach. And they started to show me those different dimensions.
Can you differentiate those then? So you got your traditional chakras and then the chakras in the field. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the emotional body has its own chakra system. The mental body has its own chakra system. And then you have the astral body, which basically puts all of them together because the etheric body, it's the first body. When you look at somebody, you see the white silhouette. Then you have the emotional body. Then you have the mental body, and then the astral body. But the emotional, mental, and etheric are inside the astral body.
Right.
Then after the astral body, we have the causal body. So the causal body is what brings energy in into the astral body and then further down into lower octaves into the physical body. So we have a silver cord in the back, which is connected to the soul, the heart of the soul. And the chakras in the back is what brings in the energy from the soul and you emanate it out into these seven chakras here.
Uh-huh.
When we start to operate in the astral body, the seven chakras actually merge into a set of three chakras. So now that your reality becomes a complete matrix where you can manipulate it because you're operating it from a higher state of consciousness where you can change and transform things without the force. It's now like it's important to set the energy first and then take the physical action.
Yeah, makes sense. So thanks for that. I kind of got from a tangent. I'll bring it back into your story because those things fascinate me
Yeah.
on a personal level because I work with this a lot. But anyway, let's come back to so you start having these experiences. You're saying now you're going into the astral plane every night. Can you remember the first time you started after that experience where you witnessed yourself out of your body? Can you remember then the very next time being you were starting to leave your body to explore the astral plane?
Well, the first time I did not quite understand. It just happened. And then I noticed that whatever I was reading or whatever I was connecting to before I went to bed, I would connect to that throughout the night. So I was like, okay, so I say what I want to do. Okay, I would say it. It wouldn't happen. Then I tried it differently, and I noticed that if I direct my communication through my crown, that's when it started to happen. So as I started to do that, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm coming out of the body. Now I'm coming out at this space. And then I started to come out of my heart instead of through the crown or coming out of the body. And when I started to come out of the heart, that's when it made more sense because I was able to become more in control of what's taking place in the astral plane
Ah,
because it's the center point. It is the 0 point. So that's when I started to kind of experience different dimensions and go to different places. But before that, even that taking place, the beings would actually help me out and they would take me. They would take me to different ships, to different planets, to different dimensions, and I would start to have experiences there. As I started to have experiences there, that's when these different beings started to show up. So I noticed like, wow, there's not just like five or six. There was over 300 different beings existing in just this dimension nearby us. And this was for me was like, okay, how and why and what do I do in these places? How is this going to help me in my physical reality? Later on, I started to ask that because before that, it was like everything up there. I was having fun there. I enjoyed it there. I did not want to be here in the physical reality at all. And when I started to ground more, that's when I was like, okay, how's that going to benefit me here? How do I use this to grow my consciousness and my awareness here? And by working with different beings, uh, there was so much information, so much wisdom that would come from them that it would be, it was just more fun to be there than here.
Who were these beings?
So I wasn't really aware of the names of these beings because later on, as I started to see that people call them the Palladians or call them the Arcturians, to me they were blue beings. They were blue silhouette, tall beings, and the other beings were that I definitely know they were the Elohimic consciousness, really tall beings. They were really benevolent and always guiding me in the most beautiful and gentlest way. The blue beings, they started to teach me about the chakra systems in the energy bodies. They started to show me these, how they work through different templates, how the energy comes from higher octaves and breaks down to lower octaves in order to be received in the physical, and how to send energy towards those directions as well. Karmic agreements, contracts on those levels, uh, agreements on the soul level, and then agreements on the physical level that we make. So I started to go through all of those different experiences, which were very, very powerful and benefited me a lot in this physical reality by clearing out these karmic patterns.
Huh. So are you saying as you're clearing your own karmic patterns and traumas from this life or previous lifetimes, so that it's allowing you then to fully integrate and be embody the 3D physical and experience reality at a deeper level here?
Correct. So if energy creates matter, we should be focused more on the energy aspect to shift than the matter. Because matter is so solidified, so dense, it's very complex to do anything. But if we do stuff from the energetic perspective, because energy is received into this dimension anyways. So if we start to pre-adjust the energetic grids, then we start to receive this much more easier. So it's not, we're not manifesting anything, we're not doing anything. We are just acting on of what's created in the field.
Makes sense. Yeah. And then with that, is it by putting our awareness and our intention behind it is how we start to shift that energy?
Intention, yes, but intention is only connecting to that frequency. Then we have to have a tone where we maintain that frequency. When we maintain that frequency, that's when we start to really operate in that dimension. Then, because energy is never still; it's constant in motion.
Hmm.
So we have to be able to be flexible and fluid and move with that. Even if you had the intentions, let's say, for something, the end result, and it as you're going towards that direction, things change. So you have to be flexible to change, because our number one manifestation has to be of our higher self first, to be with source, then everything else. Because the ego mind, everybody wants to manifest. There's so much information out there, and I can assure you a lot of these people do not manifest anything because there's no focus. There's no focus, there's no stillness, and there's no constant breath in that. It has to be a certain rhythm. And when people really get into it, you'll see that you don't really need to manifest anything. You will just do things.
Hmm.
Because physical reality, we came to do stuff. The only thing we should be working on is really focusing on is connecting to our higher self, to our soul, to our oversoul, to our monadic self. And when we connect to that space, our desires even change.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. When you're having these experiences, like for listeners, how real are they? Like how differentiated from 3D to that? Because if somebody is not actually, all they know is physical, their body and this physical reality, can be very hard to conceptualize the very things you speak of here.
It's really not that complex if you start to kind of break it down into segments. The physical body is a machine. It is not our body, because we attach to things and say my pain, my suffering, my body, how I feel, how I look. If we start to perceive it, that this body, inside we have organs, right? And these organs are not there to digest food. These organs are there to digest emotion. So if we really start to understand, the liver processes anger, spleen, anxiety of the future, uh, liver, the past, kidneys, fear, sadness, and depression, and lungs, then we start to understand that they are actually not just to digest food, they're digesting emotional experiences. So, therefore, when we come into 0 point, we start to understand, oh, wait a minute, my solar plexus is connected to the soul because the soul wants to emanate its belief system through it. But the ego mind operates in the past, which is the liver, or too much in the future, which is the spleen. That means those organs are filled with emotions and memories and anxiety where the soul cannot express itself and the ego mind has stored belief systems in. So, if we start to understand how this body works and apply proper tools to clear it and to heal it or to raise the vibration of it, then we can really understand and we can start to feel things. We start to tap into the field because now the body is ready to receive the energy of the field. The mind has to synchronize to that higher dimension
Hmm. So what you,
of, of thought process.
yeah, sorry to jump in, I just paused a bit there. So what you're saying is then is that if we get our body into a position where all energy is flowing freely through it, all the foundational aspects of the cells, from the organs to the cells, it it's almost like there's a symphony that's then open to going beyond that, as opposed to just having to deal with or put out fires that is going on within us because of unprocessed emotions, maybe the way we eat, the way we do things, and the lifestyles we lead.
Exactly. The lifestyles that we lead would have to change. And they'll change because the energy has cleared. If the energy has cleared, which is the programs, they're all programs inside of us. And once they clear out, that's when it becomes much more easier and effortless.
Amazing. One thing that I want to raise, I remember I've had the fortune of having Bruce Lipton on the podcast, I think 3 times now. He's a great guy. And he spoke about what was called the biological imperative, meaning the drive to survive, like it's innate from bacteria to cells. There's this innate survival mechanism beyond the conscious mind in all forms of life, which he studied. And I think about this because that really stood out for me. So when I had my first out of body experience, it happened, like you said, it went out the top of my head. I went out of the crown and I went into a void, but my whole body freaked out. I freaked out. Everything just fucking freaked out. Like it was like this innate response that was in my body. And then the next thing you know, phoom, I was back in just going, oh my God, did that just happen? And every time I would then fall asleep, I would go out the crown of my head, but my body I would just naturally freak out. There was like a trauma response almost. And I think, wow, and it's taken a long time to be okay with that, to let that body there, because it's almost like a death in some ways, but you're alive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, because you're going through a detachment of the physical matter.
Right.
So it feels weird. But when we come out of our body actually goes through a healing state. So the cells start to rejuvenate themselves because there's nothing bothering it or nothing is making it active. The mind is conscious of the other dimension and this dimension. It feels weird for the body. So we start to try to bring ourselves back right away. It's uncomfortable. Why is it uncomfortable? Because it is liberating.
Hmm. Interesting.
We're so used to living in pressure all the time. That's why we cannot tap into it. But in other cultures where people lived completely free, it was a normal thing for them because there was no pressure from the outside world.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we go out, everything starts to alleviate. The cells start to breathe. And through that process, not only you start to tap into this wisdom of the divine wisdom in the astral plane, but your physical body starts to rejuvenate itself. So then with time, we can actually astral project ourselves into different places while we are doing other things. because we're training the mind to be active in multiple dimensions at the same time.
Give me an example, like when you say that, because Tom Campbell speaks of this as well, who I had on recently. But when you say
Um,
you could be doing multiple things while astral
Correct.
traveling.
So it is awareness. First, we have to train the awareness in the mind. And I'm like, let's say, talking to you, but yet I'm aware of what's happening next door because I can project myself into that space. So you'll be able to do multiple things at the same time because there is no really separation or division in the energy. It is just allowing the mind to be okay and process different experiences at the same time. So we have to develop the visual cortex in the back of the head.
Hmm.
The visual cortex is what allows us. Like I'm talking to you right now, and I say a mountain with a white peak, right? You see that, but yet you're looking at me. Red bicycle,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
A red car. So once we start to develop that part, now we'll be able to project ourselves into different places, yet be here and fully present, but yet be doing other things. So let's say if you lose your keys, you can actually come out of your body and scan where you left the keys and know where they're at. So it's very interesting because the more we become aware of the astral body, the more of these gifts will come through. It becomes very simple afterwards because your brain now has been shifted from operating the in the outer lobe only, but internally into the brain stem as well.
Hmm. This question, which is continuing spark from what as you talk, if because there's a lot of noise around saying that we live in a virtual reality, and it's all part of our perception is that's then creating this. So my question is, when you go out of body, are you actually going anywhere, or is that information coming to you?
So this is the way I see it is, and I know that it's just not. This is what I was taught by the beings. Is we have a field, okay, our auric field. We think that we're leaving the body. We're only coming out of the physical body into the field, and when we're in the field, we bring everything to our field.
Hmm.
So let's say I want to go to the moon. I'm out of my body in my auric field, but the energy of the moon comes to you into your field. You want to go to Mars. You think that you're going to Mars. You're bringing the energy of Mars into your field. It's like you're an electron and you're coming out of the core of the electron into the space between the proton, right? Like you're floating in that space, but you're bringing everything there. You're not going anywhere. It's in the same space. So when we do these astral projections, we're not going to the other side of the world. We're bringing the other side of the world to us.
So I had this experience the other night, and I haven't shared this with anyone, just with Matt. So we finished our retreat, and I came home, and I went to bed because we just did a 5-day retreat. And I'm very open afterwards because there's a lot of energy
Yeah.
moving, there's a lot of healing occurrences, and I come back and I go to bed. And the next thing you know, I'm in a large room and I'm floating, going from one corner to the other, just floating around saying, wow, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, a tunnel of light opened, and I go shooting up this tunnel of light, just like I was skydiving, but it was going up, not down.
Mhm.
And I was just like, holy moly. It was so fast and so exhilarating, and I had no idea where I was going. And so my question to you is that I'm actually not going anywhere. Is that information just coming into me then?
Exactly. It feels that you're going.
Mm,
But what's really taking place is the expansion of your consciousness within the brainstem and within the tube of your own fluorescent tube of light.
yeah, right.
So it's an expansion of awareness into the consciousness. So since you do a lot of retreats, you probably also have visions, and before the retreat, you probably have visions of you doing everything, and you see yourself working with the people, doing what you need to do, and then it's like, whoa, I just did it in the astral plane.
The- So many strange things start to happen, come in even during as well, in beautiful ways when as you create that space and
Yeah,
shift of frequency, and beings come in, like they come into our
exactly.
fields and they work with us. It's like holy
Yeah.
moly, this is incredible. But until it happens, people just think you're nuts, and it's like no, this is happening. This is happening.
This is happening because what's happening is we're opening ourselves up to our fifth dimensional city of light. We're opening ourselves to the higher dimensional selves. So the more of this work we do, we will merge with that space where there's no separation between the 5D and the 3D, because the soul will integrate. So the being that you are, this illuminated higher dimensional celestial being that we are, that's what takes place during these retreats. So when I do retreats, same thing. I don't sleep for like the whole retreat. If I'm holding a retreat for 3, 4, 5 days, I do not sleep those days. I'm constantly working in the astral plane with all the people that are in the retreat. Then the following day, when we do the practices, it is really not we're doing anything. They're just integrating what already took place in the astral plane, because that time frame was initiated the moment that they decided to come.
Yeah.
So the soul has already done the work. It is just not the personality that's integrating that wisdom.
I was so happy you said that. Yeah, no, it's making me smile. Yeah. It's wild. When you leave your body, you say you're out there in the astral plane, right? When you're at night, I'm assuming, does your body recover? Is it sleeping and doing everything it needs, and you come back in feeling refreshed in the morning, or do you feel like you've done a
So
hard
there,
hard day's work or hard night's work, and you're like,
that's the thing where we have to learn how to allow our nervous system to be relaxed.
yeah,
Because what happens is there are heightened emotions, and people sometimes will wake up like all distorted,
mm-hmm.
or not fully come back to their body, and they feel heavy, like their legs are heavy, or they still want to sleep. They cannot get out of bed. All of those is because the physical body has went to a higher dimension and did not fully return. So we have to know how to bring ourselves back. The expansion of the nervous system and awareness of the body will allow you to bring those aspects much faster back into your center. Otherwise, it becomes more complex. So I had experiences where I would go into an astral plane. I would wake up, get up, go to the bathroom, come back, and I see my body still laying in bed.
What?
But I thought that I got up. And not only that, I would see some beings working on top of my body. So I lay back down to come back. I think I came back. I get up again. I'm not back in my body. I'm still out of my body. So my body's now, and my mind is stressing, and my body starts to sweat while I was going through that experience. Now that I'm going through that experience, I'm like trying to get back into my body. So I go back, I lay down into my body from my astral body into my physical. Again, I get up and I cannot get up. My body's still there. I started to sweat even more. So these types of experiences will throw our nervous system off balance.
Mm.
We have to learn how to come back to our center of our heart. And that's the only way we'll be empowered, because in the astral plane, when we do things from your heart space, whatever you are afraid over there will no longer exist in that dimension, because we have to understand, like let's say electron, for instance, it's a different dimension. So whatever you're thinking of, your whole field shifts. It changes. So like let's say right now I want to connect to my emotional body. So I say emotional body, and I my intention is to connect to my emotional body. So I'm feeling my emotional body. I say mental body. It's in the same space, but now it's the mental body. I say astral body. Now it's the same space, but it's now the astral body. And when we become aware of that, we synchronize our heart and our mind, and we open up all the nervous system, and all the glands are working in synchronicity. Now we're becoming a master of our reality. So now when we go into the astral plane and we get lost or we feel afraid, we can shift that right away instantaneously, and we can do all the work that we need to do spiritually in that space. Becomes much more easier than it is to do on the physical reality.
Yeah, because you're then affecting the mouth of the river, right? The very essence of where it's coming from,
Exactly.
and everything downstream is changing, having the cause of effect because of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
definitely.
Wow. 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 So you're how long have you been teaching this now? So you spoke of your 4 years. You went through obviously your own um, exploration of learning, which is probably the purest way of doing it, right? Through trial and
In
error. And
2012, I started to, I came out like before that, I was just doing work on my own. And when people told me they meditate, I was like, wow, teach me, show me, like, because I thought I sucked at it. And when I started to talk to people, I was like, wait a minute, that's not meditation. And then in 2013, 14, that's when I started to teach, like kind of come out into the public. And then 14, that's when I started to really teach, 2014. So I've been teaching already for 10 years. And at the same time, I've been having free meditations every Tuesday since 2014 as well.
oh, good on you. Yeah.
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 So the teachings is to get people into that higher state of consciousness so they can liberate themselves. Because if you release more of your energetic karma, it will become much more easier to do these things through through the physical reality. It's very important that we understand the physiological and the energetic aspects and how they work together, because they're not any separate. That's why they're called energy bodies, and they're part of us. We just need to start becoming aware of that. And I think this is where the world is headed. Like it or not, we're becoming aware, we're becoming conscious. And the more conscious we become, there's so much to explore, because now we're becoming not only just conscious, but now we're becoming multidimensional.
And do you think that's what's happening right now in the planet? Because it feels like such a melting pot of, polarization of good and evil, right and wrong. Like it all seems to be in the mix right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, as a collective, we taught ourselves to learn through chaos, through destruction,
Yeah.
and we go through pain, then we have awakening. Why can't we just have awakening without going through pain? Because the blueprint of the Earth grid system has been this way for a long time. So what happens to us? We operate under that same grid system. So the Earth has a grid system, and we have our own mental grid system. And when we align these grid systems with the Earth and the higher cosmos, then we start to understand how to really operate in much more easier, effortless way. So, working on the grids of the Earth and our universe helps us to simplify that. So, there were few experiences where I started to go up into the grid systems and change my beliefs in there. So you can change your belief systems in the field, not in the physical mind, but in the field. The more you illuminate, because everything is energy, right?
Hmm.
If everything is energy, we don't need to change our belief system. We need to illuminate the energy, and the belief system will naturally change. So when we look at old pictures of saints, and they have halos around them, right? The golden halo represents the golden energy body, because the energy body, the mental energy body, operates under the golden frequency. So when we bring in the golden light and we visualize that light coming in all the time, that purifies the neurons in our brain to connect to a higher thought process. The higher thought process does not operate in words; it operates in frequency, in different color rays. So when we connect to that, we start to think more like the divine beings, like the ascended masters, like Jesus, like Buddha, uh, because these are rays that we align ourselves under. So if we can align that with a golden frequency and constantly sit in that, meditate on it, that will naturally change. So your belief systems will naturally change, your thoughts will change, because that golden light will dissipate and transmute all the thoughts that are not vibrating under that light. Negative thoughts have a color in the field, a gray shape, let's say, or a stagnant energy. Why stagnant? Because energy just wants to flow. And when we understand the energetic flow, everything else opens. So you naturally will change, transform without needing to do things. This is why we need meditation. When we practice this
Mm.
3 times a day, at least 2 to 3 times, we see rapid change. I mean, if you work 9 to 5 every day, in 2 year time, you're going to become professional, whatever you do. If you meditate 9 to 5 every day, you will become professional with God, right? But if we spend 2 hours a day, at least in the morning and at night,
Yeah.
we will see the rapid change in our belief system. It is just us dedicating the time for that.
That's it right there, isn't it? In a nutshell. How many people do you hear when they're just stuck in their heads and they complain and they don't do the practices? They just
No,
they stay in the drama of the story.
yeah, and that's the thing, that we're staying stuck in a loop. And in order to come out, we need to have a schedule. We need to have that discipline, not like a military discipline, but energetic discipline. That's like hygiene. People take a shower every day, brush their teeth every day. You don't meditate every day. It's the same thing. You're just collecting dirt in your field.
Mm. And it sounds as well, which I like, is that you're not just meditating to silence the mind. You're actually meditating, and this very intentional behind that meditation. It's active. You're visualizing. You're bringing in different frequencies and light to be working with. Where
Correct.
I think traditionally mindfulness and meditation is all about just quietening the mind and just becoming aware of the thoughts. But there's so much more behind it that I certainly wasn't taught anyway. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, there's a lot behind it. I mean, our mind is never going to be completely silent. It's his job to do. It's his job to think. So it's us to direct it how to think,
Hmm.
which direction. And I always say we have to start thinking vertically, vertically. So our thoughts have to be towards God, towards Source, towards our higher self, towards our divine process. If we think towards that direction, then we're constantly being charged. But if we're horizontally spending, we're spending energy all the time. We're looking here, looking there, connecting to this, connecting to that, and we're depleting ourselves. But if you're connecting to your source, then you're constantly receiving that energy from source.
Yeah, I like it. Think vertically. I remember that one. That's a good
Yeah.
one. And
And
you're going to say?
it's I think it's important to balance the masculine and the feminine within ourselves. The masculine is the doer that can have the discipline, and the feminine just allows it to be flown, like when she starts to float. So you created a container for yourself where you can receive this higher wisdom.
Hmm. I remember having Amit Goswami on a couple of times. I'm not sure if you know him. He's a quantum physicist, but he said he finally figured it out at 80 odd years of age, where it was you live life by do be do be do be do, meaning you do, but you do and you be, and there's this ebb and flow of that masculine and feminine
And
energy
feminine.
around that. Yeah, mate, I'm running out of time for the podcast. We've been nearly an hour. Can
Yeah.
you believe it? It's flying. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, mate. It's fabulous. But is there any, why would somebody, I mean, if they listen to this all the way through, they're obviously excited to explore more of the mystical and our potential on there. But I just know what, having that experience and now reflecting back on your life so far, what has it done for you in your personal life to have learned this work, embodied this work?
For me, balance and finding my neutral point. When we go through awakening, we go through the swings up or down, too excited, too great, too happy, or too sad. Finding a balance in the body, finding a balance in the mind, and really honoring yourself in this whole process. How do we come back to our center point? That is the most important thing, because we will always have emotional and mental kind of different roller coasters going around. But how do you come back to your center point? How do you find that peace within yourself? When we're young, we have 1,000 desires. But when we get older, we only have one. We start to understand that life is about connecting to the higher source. What is the sole purpose? You know, and through that process, for me, was finding balance between the fifth and the third dimension, closing the gap, really experiencing my life here to the fullest potential, without any attachment, but without regret, and saying, yeah, I lived my life fully. And yet, I am still connected to my soul, to my essence, to my guides, and the other dimensions as well. So I experienced both worlds. That's, I think, what we came here is to have both of those worlds united. And we are the angelic beings bringing heaven to earth, is by experiencing these dimensions simultaneously.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Where can people find out more about your work, Igor?
Sure. IgorGalibov.com or alignmentoflight.com, on Instagram, Facebook, and all other platforms. But yeah, there's a lot of information on my website, and always I'm doing some sort of retreats, pilgrimages, workshops, and different classes as well. There's on there.
Lots going on. Do you ever come to Australia, mate?
No, I've never been there. I would
Oh,
love to.
come on. It's amazing over here. There's kangaroos outside my house half the time running around. We got a koala bear across the road. I'm serious. It's a beautiful
No,
place.
I believe you,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
would love to visit myself.
Yeah, it's a good spot, mate. It's a good spot. Well, look, there'll be links in the show notes for everyone to check out your work as well, mate. So, look, thank you. I really appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It'll definitely
Same, brother.
got me pondering, as always. Thanks, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Have a joyful one.